Yes, y'all. Welcome in to episode 124 of the Dumb Marks Podcast, your favorite Saturday brunch bunch. Back at it again, as usual, covering everything in the week that was of pro wrestling here in Bell to Bell, giving you our Mount Rushmore takes of the week. Gentlemen, how we living? How we feeling?
Tired.
Donald pulled an overnighter at work, so I know coming fresh off the work shift, doing the pod. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming in. Lack of sleep. Jason, how is your exercise packet going for being old and just throwing out your back, bending over?
Hey, I did one exercise. I'm on day 3. I wore out
It's sitting in a sauna suit. What the hell are you doing? What do you have on right now?
It's a calming suit, man. I feel like Professor Xavier.
Is that part of the exercise packet that was prescribed to you by your doctors to help with your back?
No, they said heat. And when I asked for a heating pad, I got a sauna suit. Because my mother buys any and everything, so.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Chris with the official Dumb Marks banner in the background. It looks a little backwards, but I'll take it.
Backwards?
It looks backwards. Is it backwards? I can't tell.
No.
It's good?
What kind of computer are you running on?
I'm still figuring out this restream from time to time. I mean, we're not called Dumb Marks for nothing. So, All right. Busy week that was. I'm glad everybody's doing good, doing well. Absurdly warm weather in Pittsburgh, 74 degrees on Thursday, down to 30 on Friday. It was insane.
Yeah, there's flurries outside now.
Yeah,
bro, I missed all of Thursday.
Come out your back cave every once in a while, Robin, and you'll be.
I would
right.
if
I could. just gotta put that chair right up to the window and just look outside.
Look out.
Man, I've had that poster since Invasion, man.
Signs you're old, looking out the windows.
All right. If nobody got anything for the intro, which I know we got a lot to get into this week, I'm curious to get everybody's Mount Rushmore as far as what you thought was the best from the week that wasn't pro wrestling. There's a lot of candidates this week, a lot of different ways this can go. We had the an awards list came out. We'll maybe get into that. We got a little what if game for you today. So stay tuned to that. It's good. It'll be a good podcast. We're here for the shits and giggles today. Nothing serious. We're gonna chop it up, cut up. I know Taekwon is always down with the shits and giggles. So with that being said, let's just hop into bell to bell. All right. So the week that wasn't pro wrestling, typically we tend to work off of a Monday through Friday aspect, right? But I think for this week, we got to go back to last Saturday and include that in the week that was, just based on everything that transpired. So we had, Battle in the Valley, New Japan, Elimination Chamber. Both shows I thought were really good. I enjoyed both of them. I didn't watch each of them live. I watched Elimination Chamber live and then went back and double backed on the New Japan. And then, of course, everything that was the week that wasn't pro wrestling. So just before we get into Mount Rushmore, overall thoughts. I know, Chris, one of your things for this year in pro wrestling was just to have better pro wrestling.
Yeah.
So far, coming in, basically 2 months into 2023, have you felt the quality of pro wrestling has gone up at the beginning part of the year?
I did. Unfortunately, I missed Battle in the Valley, so I still need to go back and watch that. Just terrible week this week, so I didn't have the time to watch it. But I did watch Chamber. I watched some of it live, then I had to go back and watch the rest on Sunday. It's okay. I'm not going one way right now. We're just right down the middle. Nothing. I right now I have my match of the year candidate. I did see that at least so far. So, you know, we'll see we'll see when we do the half year mark at the end of June. You know, how things look at that point. Still got a lot of big events before then.
Donald J, little temperature check as far as how you feel the world of pro wrestling is off to in 2023. Good, bad, indifferent.
So far on the upswing for me. It is. Saturday, I enjoyed Saturday, except for one match. So we'll get into it. But everything else about it, I really enjoyed it.
I'm enjoying it because it's giving me a reason to watch. Like, it's keeping me coming back. I'm not watching because it's a habit. I'm watching because I'm interested now.
There's the key. I was hoping somebody was going to say it, because I think that's the biggest difference so far in 2023, is that we're getting stuff that makes me want to tune in on a weekly basis. Not saying that everything, you know, the entire time the shows are on are home runs, and that'd be damn near impossible to do, right? It's just too much content, too many hours to fill to make everything be a home run. But the stuff that's really good from multiple promotions, this isn't just strictly a WWE, AEW aspect. I'm talking about MLW, Impact, you know, New Japan, like everything under the sun, except for NWA. I'm kind of over that. MLW, you know, we're getting.
I wish I could watch MLW.
We're getting stuff. Well, it comes on Reels.
It's not on YouTube.
Okay. So there you go. They get on TV, and you don't have it to watch it.
And I've even been looking for it. You know, been looking online for that video copy of it, and no one's been posting them yet. So
they had about I think it was 97 or 98,000 viewers on Tuesday night on Reels at 10 p.m. So, I mean, for me,
those
jumping off,
Impact numbers.
hopping on, they're right up there with Impact as far as drawing. So kudos to them. But yeah, I feel we're off to a good start. Now, whether or not the momentum will carry for each promotion throughout the year, we'll see. But I think right now, 2 months in, I couldn't be happier, because it's giving me stuff to tune in and want to see on a weekly basis. So with that being said, get the flowers out the way early. Who wants to start with their Mount Rushmore of the week this week? And we can branch off and have some sidebars and so on, because I feel like this week there may be more sidebars than others based on what gets brought up just from everything that's transpired and what's upcoming here over the next week or so.
I'll kick it off.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to give my Mount Rushmore this week to Asuka. Someone whose character, since she's returned, has entertained me. I mean, she's always entertained me, but she's entertained me more. I like the development that we're going, the TV time that she's getting, and I'm giving her the spot this week because she's the first female to win Rumble, Money in the Bank, and the Elimination Chamber. So she just continues to just be one of the more dominant women in wrestling.
And if you would look back over her booking from the time she got called up to the main roster, the main knock was, Vince is burying her. He doesn't know what to do with her. He's burying her. And then you rattle off that type of list, and it's like, okay, well, you got to take the good with the bad. It's not always going to be good for everybody, unless, you know, you're like upper echelon a la Roman, right? Like, you know, you're not going to have that consistent high quality booking all the time. But that's not a bad pick. I'm not mad at it. The character it harkens back more to what she was in Japan prior to her coming over.
That's why I like it, because I think it's her being herself a little bit more too. Not that her character was much different before, but you know, I think she's having some fun with it now, and you can see that whenever she's coming out.
And I like how she's striking. Well, go ahead, Steve.
No, go ahead.
I like how she's striking fear in Bianca. Like Bianca's face there when she was looking at her whenever all that blue stuff came out of her mouth and everything. She looked scared. So hopefully, like Jason said, it gives her a little character change in Bianca.
Yeah.
I think that it's good for both women, but more from the Asuka angle of it, since you brought her up, Chris. When she came into NXT, and Donald, this touches on what you said, the fear factor was there. You know, the whole "nobody's ready for Asuka" tagline was a legit tagline because everybody was not ready for Asuka. Like, you hadn't seen a woman come in and do what she did prior to her. And she was booked to be that force. Like, now granted, the undefeated streak wasn't going to last forever, which, you know, if you look from a big perspective, it's kind of like, all right, what are we doing with Jade? And when's that going to end? Because at some point, you got to knock the streak off, because you can't just book somebody to win forever. But this is, you know, as I said prior to, as soon as she debuted the face paint at the Rumble, her and Bianca, like, that was it. I didn't need to see anything else. Just her taking that mask off, seeing the face paint. That was the matchup that I wanted, and we're getting it. And I think it's going to be an unreal match that them two have at WrestleMania.
To what you were saying, like, whenever she debuted in NXT, it's like me and Dawn were there in Dallas when she won the title, you know, to start the streak. And I mean, I was shocked when she won the title that night. You know, I didn't see that coming. You know, just like
the Bayley hype was unreal.
Yeah.
So where does this character lie, heel is face wise? For you,
Randy Orton.
Yeah,
we playing
pretty much right now.
Okay.
We'll see as we get closer to Mania. If it, I think it got to go more towards the heel side of things. But as we brought up on the show last week, I think it was last week, Bianca's run, because it's been as long as it has, going on almost a full year from Mania last year, it's gotten stale.
Yeah.
So you may get more fans cheering for Asuka, even though she may play more of the heel character or the heel dynamic in the matchup leading up to it. Just because I don't think Bianca, you know, Bianca's that John Cena of the women's division, where she's your true babyface of babyfaces, which I'm not mad at, but I think she's going to have to go to a certain level to meet and match Asuka in order to not get steamrolled, because this version of Asuka will steamroll damn near everybody in the company based on the character. So we'll see where Bianca goes. I am interested to see how that story unfolds and tells, you know, over the next, 5 weeks until Mania, which is crazy to say that we're, you know, 5 weeks out, but realistically we're 5 weeks out. So yeah, I'm not mad at Asuka as a Mount Rushmore for this week.
My Mount Rushmore's in AEW, so somebody got WWE just to stay on that track.
Mine is, I think, AEW too. Mine goes like, well, it's a little mix. The people who shined in matches in their losing efforts, like your Liv Morgans, your Montez's, your Jonah Reed, they stood out. But I'm gonna go Evil Uno.
Really?
Another person I was hoping somebody was going to bring up this week based off of that main event.
He's the only reason I stayed watching that match.
So let's get into it. I saw Bully Ray posted the question on Twitter, and I didn't double back to see what the poll results were, and it was John Moxley. So was there too much blood in that match?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was unnecessary. See the title? Cover episode.
You can see it squirting. That to me felt like too much. Yeah.
Out of Uno?
Out of Uno, yeah.
That's how he hurt his back.
Like going in, I was thinking, like, why is this the main event? Why? Because Uno was always like the second thought to me, to Stu Grayson, always. And it was just like, why is he in this position? Why did he even step up to him next week? And then he sold me in the match.
And if you look, and that was the biggest knock on Uno and the Dark Order, right? Is that they're essentially jobbers. And then I saw somebody throw out the record for 2023, and Uno has, you know, one singles loss on his record, and he's whatever and won because they've won all their trios matches. I think the credibility
had to been on
factor.
Dark, right? Because has he wrestled on Dynamite?
No, they've had their it's Dark and Elevation that they've wrestled on trios wise, but their credibility factor has taken a major hit over the time since Brody passed. I mean, they kind of didn't know where to go after that. They made them baby faces, but they never really capitalized on it to the point where I thought they should have, with giving them a title, so to speak, in the tag team division. And then they just floated and were the funny BTE sidekicks to Hangman. And I thought Uno did a good job of calling Hangman out in the interview process. Like, hey, you're basically saying we're not on your level, so back the hell off. Like, I called him out for a reason. I'm going to go out there and let the chips fall where they may. Now, I saw people, I think it was Disco, it said, "Oh, you have a fat boy in the main event with man boobs, not really going to draw an audience and captivate and bring in viewers."
I hate people like that.
It's like, all right.
Why is Disco one of those people that people keep bringing up? Like, why does he have a voice on Twitter?
But wasn't that your original heel? Was a big guy with
Look at King Kong Bundy.
Your Kamalas. Oh yeah, all your heels back there.
Zuma.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what we say about AEW. If you don't, we talked about this months ago. If you don't look at it through the right lens, and you're trying to pigeonhole it into what WWE pro wrestling is, then yeah, it's not going to make sense to have Evil Uno in your main event. But Tony's not booking to have your approval. Like, he's not booking to you. We've known this. We've seen this. It's been enough time where we know, okay, we're booking to our own audience. Good or bad, we can debate that till the sun comes up, right? Like, is it sustainable over years to just strictly focus on your niche audience without bringing anybody new into the fold? I didn't see nothing wrong with the main event. I thought it was good. I thought it,
it's probably people just like that time. Like, I can't wait to go on Twitter and see what he said.
I think my only thing is that where do you go from here with Dark Order after that?
That could have been a push to the trios, but that's House of Black right now.
And don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that, because they go into that match and lose that match, and it's like all three of them might as well leave the company, because essentially they're like the Lance Archer of trios.
Very true.
So you want to talk about all credibility shot? If they go into that match against Kenny and the Young Bucks and they lose that match, you might as well just stick a fork in them.
Wrestling has to have jobbers too.
Yeah, but they're not. Those three are not in the jobber category. From a trio standpoint, from an individual standpoint, a tag standpoint, Malachi Black, Buddy Murphy, and Brody King are three guys that should be featured on your program based off of what they can do
all the time.
I'm not a fan of Malachi, but I do think that they are good enough to the point where they should be focused on in the trios division.
Hey, look who showed up!
And that match almost had me leave on a high note, but Moxley had to bleed in the last 20 seconds.
And he got 100 wins at AEW.
Is anybody surprised?
Well, he's the true brother.
That's 105, right?
He's prime Hogan.
104.
Are you adding in the unsanctioned matches that he's won?
No, 104 losses, 5 losses.
I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know what the actual record is. So, He's kind of where Goldberg's record was at whenever WCW went out of business. The
original one, the one that was restarted.
All right, so we got Asuka on the Mount Rushmore. We got people that lost but got over on the Mount Rushmore.
And I'm adding Trick Williams to that.
Trick Will, okay.
He showed up.
I'm picking up what Jay's theme is with this new format to the show, because it's become evident that he can't just pick one. So he just lumps a category together and throws it out there.
I can pick one, but some people need highlighted. That's going to get skipped over.
So we should do 2 then?
No.
You want your 4 every week?
My Mount Rushmore is the MJF and Danielson segment. The whole segment. Like, everybody knows that this is going to be like one of the good matches and all that stuff. But for me, what they did Wednesday actually sold me on everything. It actually hooked me. It got me in, and I really want to see the match now. Just from Danielson saying what he was saying to MJF, speaking to the camera about his kids, Danielson flipping out, and then MJF taking that forearm outside. Looked like he was like cleanly knocked out. I mean, I don't know if that was work or a shoot, but it had me jump out my seat a little bit. I was like, oh, damn. So it was real to me. Man, that segment was real to me, damn it.
That forearm shot reminded me of, you remember way back when they actually played the Pro Bowl and Sean Taylor destroyed the punter.
Yes.
Like, that's what that it was like. Oh, we're like, hey, 2-hand touch. Nah, I'm letting your ass up. He clocked him with that forearm.
Yeah, he did.
That was the only part of the segment that I liked.
Really?
See, I'm opposite of you on this, Donald. I do not feel the promo did anything for the match, the feud, the segment, because to me, the promo didn't make any sense. I'm supposed to sympathize for MJF because MJF had his fiance leave, and he doesn't get to have the family that Danielson has. And the only reason why he doesn't, end it all is because of the belt, because of the Triple B. And Danielson is the one that's made his life miserable and is taken, or what, he has what he expected to get out of life. That's not MJF. Why are you cutting that type of promo?
Because it's MJF. He does weird things and pulls you in and just be like, you know what? Fuck you. I got you.
He's done a lot of this false sympathy for the devil stuff, in this, since he's returned. And it's like, I think we've questioned him on multiple times. Like, why is MJF cutting this promo? But then what ends up happening? Somehow it circles back and you find out why he cut that type of promo. Like, it's the whole sympathy for the devil character that he's trying to play.
But it just didn't. It's who's opposite him whenever he does those promos. To me, this one, it's not going to work whenever Danielson's the guy standing across from you. He's the ultimate babyface of babyfaces. He had literally transcended from a wrestling yes chant to I stole second base. I'm a Major League Baseball player. I'm going to get up and do the yes. Like, you had yes chants going off in arenas across the world for multiple sports. It was something that transcended wrestling into everyday life, which we haven't seen in a really long time. The guy walked away due to concussions, came back, and I got that angle of it where it's like, okay, you selfish SOB. But it's just, I can't give sympathy to MJF.
I think
so.
We might not see it now, but I think we'll see it probably by the time after Revolution's over.
It's his gimmick.
I like most of it, but like, to me, him and Heyman went personal this week. I was just like, I tuned out.
And I think I agree with Donald on that, because I especially like we've talked about on the show, some of the best stuff is whenever you bring the real life stuff into it. And I think that's why it might have connected with so many people this week. That's why they liked it.
I did. I enjoyed it, and it hooked me. It did. It hooked me to the match. I knew it was going to be a good match before,
Yeah.
but you know how AEW storytelling is sometimes, and for some reason, this just grasped me. Like, I got it.
I think the physicality aspect of it, we've seen pull aparts before, right? But the physicality aspect, and then to have it end on that exclamation point forearm shot, whether it was a work or it turned into a shoot because it just, positioning was wrong, timing, whatever the case may be. That portion of the segment, yeah, I'm all in on that. Let's go. Let's see the match. It was the promo leading up to it where you're trying to get sympathy on yourself, and then you turn around and then you talk to his kids and his wife and everything else, and then you say you're going to give him early onset of CTE, and it's like, wait a second, you were just asking for sympathy. Now you want to end a man's
that's
entire
MJF
life with CT, like
that's MJF.
The truth came out a little bit on there. That's not to break too far off, but whenever this match was first announced, I was just like, how many okay, we're gonna have an Iron Man match, an hour match on an AEW pay-per-view, which already goes like 4+ hours. Like, what are they gonna do? And I saw last night they started running through the card for Dynamite, and it looks like we're gonna see a lot of, like, it's almost gonna be like a pre-show next week, like on Dynamite and Rampage. I was like, okay, at least they're finally gonna do this. See how it plays out with the pay-per-view next week.
Yeah, so I did see the engagement. I didn't see the, I didn't hear anything of them actually ending it in real life. And
no, that was the first I heard too.
You're getting worked, my man.
It's all work, as Donald says.
It's all work.
You're getting worked.
But I will say,
issue.
Is she gonna come out into the match on next Sunday?
Chris, you brought up that's what MJF does. He brings the personal in with the work. So yeah, it could be 100% true. I'm not questioning that aspect as far as work or shoot. Like, it's more of the content and how it's supposed to make me feel about each man in the segment. And it's like, you can't make me feel sympathy for you when the other guy standing in the ring is the ultimate underdog babyface that everybody has sympathized with since he debuted in WWE.
Yeah.
Is CT something to joke about right now? To put in the promo.
I mean, he brought up a car accident after Jay Briscoe passed away. So, I mean, is it something to joke about? Absolutely not. Just like wrapping your car around a tree is not something to joke about after, you had a man's life end early and his daughters are battling everything coming out of that accident, which shout out to them. They did get released from the hospital. So thoughts and prayers continue to go out to the Pugh family to have them, fully recover. But
I think Steve's dogs were pissed at MJF there for a second.
No, we did. They just got back from the groomers, so they. But yeah. What's off limits in pro wrestling?
Nothing these days.
Nothing.
So
absolutely nothing.
If it's a, and this is just as an example, but if it's a Matt Hardy standing there instead of Bryan Danielson, I guarantee you
Mm-hmm.
MJF is talking about Jeff Hardy's DUI case, sentencing, and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, for sure.
So yeah, I don't,
MJF goes to the jugular.
As long as it's, yeah, but as long as it's done where both people are aware of where you're going, then you can blend in the reality of it because it makes you gravitate to it because you can relate to it. So I definitely feel MJF in his promos. He's not scripted. Yeah, he has his bullet points that he hits, but he does it in a way where it's like, is it real or is it not? And that's what you want out of somebody who's cutting a promo.
Yes.
So not mad at that at all. Does Danielson need to win this match?
No.
Will this lead to a multi-match feud? Can it lead to a multi-match feud? If your first match is an Iron Man match, can you do a multi-match feud off of that?
Yeah.
You can.
And I wouldn't mind it.
You did Danielson's specialty now, then you could do like an MJF could name his type of match. Next one.
But we already seen MJF specialty. He gave him the jump through to get to the match.
But the actual like match that MJF then he can call. Like that's what you can go to next. Do I need this? I don't know. Right now, I'm gonna say I don't need multiple matches out of this. Like if Danielson would win, I wouldn't be upset over it. Just because I'm a fan. But I'm not expecting him to win.
Ty said he wouldn't mind MJF doing a bunch of one-offs.
I mean, after this, you got to build towards Double or Nothing. Got a lot of shit in between, but that's the next big feud after that.
MJF having one-offs is fine, but you got to zero in on that one story. Like that one guy. You got to have that one guy. Like Omega, you knew that the one guy was Hangman, right?
Mm-hmm.
But give me some legit one-offs. Don't give me the Moxley, why is this guy getting a title shot? One-offs.
You don't want to see Archers. Yeah, you don't want to see the Lance Archer just get the Battle of the Belts match or whatever.
But I think with MJF, like he's
in the future,
like he says, I'm not wrestling every week for you peons. I'm coming out whenever the money's the most money. So you might not see him wrestle again until Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
As long as he's present and cutting promos, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he doesn't have to cut a promo every week, just like what he's been doing. Whenever he comes out, cool. I'm happy with it.
I think you avoid the Lance Archer match problem because it's a heel with the title instead of a babyface. So I don't think you don't have that issue on the babyface side of things where they just roll the same babyface out for the heel champion like they do with a babyface champion. So I will be interested to see who's next for MJF if he does retain against Danielson, and where they go with that. Obviously, if you're going to groom Wardlow and build him back up, that's you're all out potentially if you're going to do that.
Yeah, you still got Starks in the wait.
Yes, but I also would not mind see them going back into the Darby Allin well.
Okay. He hasn't been doing much.
So the Pillars, the Ultimate Babyface, we've seen them wrestle before. It was a hell of a match. It stole the show.
I'm surprised to hear Dave say that.
I agree with you, Dave.
No, I'm not angry.
I don't want that Takeshita match to be you want to put that up, Chris?
Yeah, the Face of the Revolution ladder match.
Yeah, I don't want that Takeshita to be a one-off. I want that to be a good build.
Okay.
And it's already starting to be one. Yeah,
you've planted seeds with them too.
Yeah.
So,
that could be a good way to build him up.
Yeah, like if you're gonna have Action Andretti win the ladder match, then you can get that one off of the. You know what I mean? Like if you're going that Lance Archer, Nyla Rose automatically faces the champion match, like all right, but I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think there's a lot to come. I definitely want to see more from MJF. Just because of the way they've booked their champions, it's I I want him to be the guy. Right?
Yeah.
Like you look at Roman, he's the guy. So let me look at MJF and have no doubt that you're the guy.
A little bit of longevity.
Yeah, I think that's what it'll take.
Hear me out, guys.
Every week, every single week. Again, this was another week where I struggled as far as selecting one Mount Rushmore, and I didn't want to do the J routine where I just throw out a main category and say, "Oh, wrestling in general," or
well, give me your 1A, your 1B.
I'll go. So in ring wise, match wise for the week for me, it'd have to be the trios tag match from last night from Impact with the Bullet Club versus Motor City Machine Guns and Kushida.
Mm-hmm.
That match was absolutely ridiculous. I said it was going to be a banger whenever they announced it. They delivered for sure. A lot of that card last night delivered for sure. Again, it's Impact, and I know you guys don't watch it, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But if you're looking for a match of the week, I would check that out for sure. That's in my top tier. So in ring wise, even though there was a lot that happened, that match last night was just it was a chef's kiss. It lived up to my expectations of what I wanted to see whenever those 6 men were announced. Good stuff there. I got to keep going with the Sami Zayn Bloodline saga. Like it's what I tuned in for every single week.
Compelling.
I thought Monday was great. You know, the promo from him and Owens made complete sense. KO's always been about himself and his family. And, you know, I get it. And their history makes it seem like there's no way they're going to get together and team up. So I thought it was beautifully done on Monday. And then last night, him, Jimmy, and Jay to close out the show just added another layer to it.
What happened last night? Because I didn't get chances.
So the whole night was set up, backstage segment-wise and everything was set up as far as Jimmy needed to handle Jay based on what Jay did at the pay-per-view. And he was in the locker room and he was questioning whether he's going to be there and this, that, and the other. And him and Solo, he's talking. Solo's just sitting there mugging and listening. Heyman's in the background being Heyman, giving facial expressions and everything else, just doing what he does perfectly. And then right before the main event segment, he goes over to Jimmy and he goes, "Hey, you need to handle this tonight." And he turns his phone around, or Tribal Chief will be here next week and he'll deal with Jay his way.
The one who's supposed to settle it this week. Card subject to change.
So Jimmy goes out, and Jimmy, that may be one of the best promos I've seen Jimmy cut.
Credit to Jimmy, because usually Jay does the heavy lifting in the roles.
Right. Like I was drawn in. I was, kept my attention. Just everything was well done. Body language, everything. Sammy sneaks in the ring. And you think, okay, it's going to pop off. We're getting near the top of the hour. Sammy gets the mic and cuts the promo, basically similar to what he told Jay in the outside the arena with the trucks. There's a way out, this, that, and the other. I'm taking down the bloodline, whatever. Jay finally shows up in the top of the stands, and the pop Jay got, man, it's hard not to see him being the guy to take over Roman. Like
that was main event.
My only issue was they cut the Jay too soon.
I thought they should have let it hang in the ring a little bit longer. I'm right there with you. But they cut the Jay. He makes his way down. Sammy gets distracted. Jimmy attacks Sammy. lays him out. Jimmy turns around, looks at Jay. Sami gets up and hits a haluva kick in the corner, knocks Jimmy down. Solo comes out, and Sami takes a powder, rolls out the ring. Him and Jay share a look, hop over. Sami hops over the guard railing, and they ended with the camera shots on each one of them. It was just all right. Like, I can't wait to tune in next week when Roman's back to see what happens.
What do you think will get somebody into wrestling more, this or an actual match?
So that is, and that goes to
depends
pros.
on the fan sometimes, but
That goes to pros.
Like somebody who doesn't watch,
The story.
I think it would just depend on what they would like. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes, if they're a story person, the story's going to bring them in. But if they're more of an action, the match probably would. I really so my favorite part of that promo was.
Pro has a question. Pro comment.
Hey, that's a good catch.
Okay.
If we're talking Marvel Easter egg type shit, like, that's something, if you're not paying attention to, and all of a sudden, instead of being red for the bloodline, whatever, you see him with a blue one or a black. It's like, okay, what? All right, what do we got here? Like,
what did he say? What did they say? Was it last week or the week before? Whenever Paul said, he goes, "You're going to stay at home because sometimes you see things on TV." It's just like, maybe Paul's recording some of this stuff. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe that's going to be part of what plays out too.
Well, and that had to do with Roman being at home, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it was, Tribal Chief is watching a la Big Brother, but he's watching the broadcast, not in the arena, and he's seeing shit.
Yeah. For the listeners, Pro said, "I want you guys to pay attention to Paul Heyman's phone case. It's all he's always displaying it. I think there's going to be a subtle change to when shit finally comes to a conclusion."
So, rumor.
Getting back to the story, I really liked whenever Sami came out and he was saying, "Hey, like, you're mad at me, but I'm mad at you too." Like, he goes, like, you're the one that adopted me into the Uso family. You're the one that gave me the nickname. And then whenever, Roman's turned his back on me, he goes, you side with him automatically and you don't side with me. So I like that.
You didn't hesitate to take me out at the Rumble.
Yeah.
Without you, there's no Usi.
The only thing that I didn't like last night was that Sami actually did the haluva kick on him. It's like, okay, so you're trying to tell him, like, there's a way out of here, but then you attack him. It's like, I thought last night should have been a little bit more about the mind game than an action, but
kind of a payback for that super kick.
And he got attacked first. Jay was the one that took him out first in the ring last night. So I think my question, so based off of this, right? And there's a lot coming out as far as rumors with WWE is curtailing and booking segments a certain way so Cody doesn't get heat on him with Sami chants and the crowd's taking over and wanting Sami instead of Cody, because we know Cody versus Sami is gonna headline night, or Cody versus Roman's gonna headline night 2 of Mania. And then we get the whole, KO Sami against the Usos is what everybody thinks is going to happen. So should that main event night 1, or should Rhea versus Charlotte main event night 1 to appease the
tradition? Even though guys main evented both nights last year. If you do go and the story unfolds and it is KO and Sami versus the Usos, is that your night 1 main event?
I think that's just going off night 1 or night 2.
Oh, so you want to see it like all Bloodline?
All Bloodline one night.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be good for ending night 1, or at least being on night 1 if it doesn't end it, because then it's just like, that's the question. End of night 1, just like, okay, so if the Usos lose the tag titles, what happens to Roman tomorrow? It's like, it gives you that doubt to sleep on for the next day.
And then they give you backstage stuff with Roman, be like, I can't believe you guys lost. You know, I'm what Bloodline really does.
And I think that's how you open night 2 is with Roman in the back pacing around, the Usos sitting there.
We're getting segments on Mania.
Hey,
backstage segment.
They've done them.
Why not? Never seen Almost versus Brock.
I don't mind seeing backstage segments. Don't give me in-ring talking segments, though.
Yeah. Just the one thing I didn't like about the Elimination Chamber, like with their match, at the end, Sami lost, and then they beat up Roman at the end. To me, that felt too much like Luger beating Yokozuna with a count out, and then we have a huge celebration. I think they did that for the fans only. Mm-hmm. To me, that felt real cheap to me.
You mean the beatdown of Sami afterwards?
The beatdown of Roman when KO came out.
With
the kick and all that stuff. Yeah. It's just to send the fans home happy. That was like Luger Yokozuna to me. It was like, yeah, you won, but you didn't win the title, so we're just going to have a celebration anyway. That's what it felt like.
I think
the only bad thing, I was like, yeah, this is cheesy.
I would have Sami and KO main event night 1 against the Usos, if that is indeed the direction they go. Based on what they've done so far, even though we're 5 weeks out, I don't know what we're going to have, you know. Oh, we got to run in. We got to run in. Bro, on the show. What's up?
What's up?
How you doing?
So, I have an announcement for you guys. I have changed my ways. I've changed my stance on storytelling.
Oh, whoa. Breaking news.
This is like getting that Nintendo on Christmas morning that you didn't think your parents were going to give you, or like this is like asking the girl to that prom that you shoot your shot and you didn't think she was going to say yes, and she says yes. I didn't even have to dip into my bag that my case file that I was compiling to drop on you, pro. But go ahead, the floor is yours. I'd like to hear your change in position.
So after a few months of like consideration and doing the Friday night SmackDown watch along, I am thoroughly invested in this whole Sami Zayn storyline. I think that right there, like what I don't know if it was Donald or Jason, but they were saying like, or who asked the question, does this help new fans come in? Would that help? Okay, it was Jason. I have to say, yeah. It's fucking intriguing. It's like a soap opera. I love it. I love it. So Sami Zayn has changed my stance on storytelling. So with that, I say thanks, Sami Zayn. I don't know what Taekwon's saying.
So how much of this would you like in wrestling? Storyline to wrestling. What would you like the ratio to be? One big storyline for like the top, and then a bunch of wrestling, or you think everybody needs a storyline?
With that, I think like, I don't know, 60-40. Storytelling 60, wrestling 40.
Oh, that's a big.
That's almost attitude era.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's what I would give it. And there you have it, folks. I'm out of here. That's all I needed to say. See y'all later.
All right, go ahead. Drop off, pro. I'll keep. So to pro's point, right? 60-40, and we get on here and we've talked about AEW's lack of storytelling and how WWE has been carrying the torch for storytelling based off of this Bloodline angle, and Revolution's coming up next week, and what's the build been like? Are you excited for it? All that. If you look at the matches on Revolution so far that they've announced, there is story there.
There is.
It's just not told to the degree that the Bloodline story is. So this Bloodline storyline it's one of a handful that's ever been done in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Right? Like it is creme de la creme as far as storytelling goes. But on the AEW side of things, you do have MJF and Danielson with their story that they've told, and there has been a story there. You have Wardlow and Samoa Joe. Even though it's been a short story, we have the reasoning and the story behind it with Joe cutting the hair and Wardlow growing out his beard and hair in honor of his father who passed away from cancer and all that. So like you have story there that's made it more than just Wardlow versus Joe in a match, right? Whether or not it's not going to be, everything's not going to be creme de la creme, right? But you still have story. So
to me, it's like that one there is like too far apart. It's like now you got to remember back to what happened.
But that's a lot of stuff. AEW does more of that than WWE does, right? Mm-hmm. Where stuff will go away for a while and then they'll bring back, and then it's like, oh, I got to remember that happened 7 months ago, and this is playing out now. Mm-hmm. So, but they are telling stories. So I get the 60-40 ratio, 70-30. But I'm glad to see that you've been won over, Pro, to understand the importance of storytelling and how it can get you completely invested and make you want to see the matches more. Hmm. And that's the whole point. We've talked about it before. Yes, there's certain matches where I just want to watch for matches' sake, right? Mm-hmm. And that's great and that's awesome. But at some point, you can't just have that. You need something else behind it. Mm-hmm. AEW may not be telling stories that live up to the Bloodline angle right now. So I think when you step back and look at it from that angle of what's the story that's being told, you can buy into it. You got hooked this week, Donald, with Danielson and MJF. It's there. Mm-hmm. It sold you. You want to see the match now.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'll agree with it. But if you look across the landscape, it's stories that are being told in companies across the board that's making me want to tune in and buy in and invest even more than just seeing, like Jay White and Eddie Kingston, right? They had the match. It was the match, right? But they added the stipulation. There was talk before, their story of what's Jay going to do. And then what New Japan did in that angle, they kicked off the next story for the next guy. You gave something to David Finlay and saying, hey, you know what? Fuck your era, Jay White. I'm coming for mine. I'm taking your spot. And now I want to see what happens with David Finlay. Where does he go? What's next for him? Can he step up? So it may not be a story per se for that particular match, but there's a story being told for somebody else out of that match. Mm-hmm.
Pro says a shout out to Sami Zayn.
Listen, once this angle finally wraps up, and granted, the conclusion, you're not going to please everybody, right?
Of course.
But once it wraps up, I am very curious to see what Hunter and team are able to do next. Because, Jay, you brought up this point before. You've been very reliant on the Bloodline to carry you for 2 years, 3 years. What happens when they're not around? And are you going to be able to get people to be invested afterwards? Because this has carried you for so long. Mm-hmm.
And who's going to be the team then, too, in a few months? That could be changed, too.
So
just enjoy this podcast.
Yeah.
I saw an interesting fan theory, and since Pro jumped on the show and came over to my side, I want to bring this up so he can get some excitement into his life. I saw an interesting fan theory that said Roman should win night 1 and night 2. Should defend the belts both nights. Beat Sami Zayn again night 1. Beat Cody night 2. Come out on Raw on Monday. and basically say there's literally nobody left. I've done everything to everybody. I've beaten everybody. Nobody is on my level or will ever be on my level. And then you get the CM Punk music to hit.
No. All that goodwill you bought in completely will go down the drain. Nope. It don't matter anyway. He's getting ready to return.
I will say the tweet
would it pop me? Yeah, it probably would pop me, but
no, it won't.
The tweet of the week came from Kenta after the New Japan show. I will say that. If you didn't see that tweet, it was tremendous. He said my world's biggest fan showed up to my show tonight and watched me deliver the real go to sleep. Fuck you. Oh, it's great. It's great. I need that match. Forbidden Door 2, June. I need that match. I need Kenta versus Punk. I doubt we'll get it, but it is what it is. All right, Mount Rushmores. There you have it, folks, this week. Chime in, hit us up on social media. Let us know who you thought was your Mount Rushmore of the week that stole the show. With that being said, do we want to do What If or hop into Jabronis?
Let's do What If.
All right, What If?
Good, Don.
All right.
No graphic for this. Sorry. No graphic. We have not worked that out yet post-production wise, so that's an awkward transition. But you know the games we like to play on here. Push, bury, release, What If, debate this. And there's a fourth one. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Terrible.
It's somewhere in there. Yeah,
terrible segue. But all right, so, What If? What do we got this week?
What if? So make it short and sweet. What would the WWE main event picture look like from 1998 to 2002 if Shawn Michaels didn't get hurt at Rumble? So we're just finiting it to the main event picture during those 4 years he was gone.
Ooh.
So if he didn't get hurt, what would it look like?
The biggest question I have off of that is what happens to DX? Does DX just stay the same, or do they expand DX the way that they did after he left? You know, like where Triple H said that he dropped the ball and he picked it up and, you know, went to the Bloodline and, you know, called everybody in. It's like, do you just continue to see Triple H, China, and Shawn be DX and them just run the main event then? Or does it grow into the monstrosity that end up becoming the battle at the NWO?
I mean, do you get Hunter being Hunter?
That's the main thing I think.
Shawn going away made Hunter turn into the game, the cerebral assassin, the main event guy, the guy for a lot of fans that will say he's their favorite wrestler. And it had to do with that 4.5 year run of what he was able to do and accomplish there and the matches he had and the feuds he had. Now you can say it was, the son-in-law of the owner and he was going to be booked to look strong anyways.
So much later though.
But to me, that's the number one, I guess the number one choice as far as this What If. Does Hunter become Hunter? Does Hunter Hearst Helmsley turn into Triple H?
Mm-hmm.
If Shawn Michaels is not out 4.5 years with a back injury.
Was DX there before this?
Yes.
Yeah, with Hunter, Shawn, and China.
Yeah, that was it. In
that was 97 and 98, and then
do you think you'd get Hunter HBK feud?
Probably might have got it earlier.
You got.
Could have got the breakup that led to that.
So that would have sent Shawn on his babyface run early. I think it would have been that. I don't think Mankind would ever won a title because it was during that time. I don't think he would have.
I mean, there's rumors that Shawn wasn't even a fan of The Rock, so would The Rock even?
That's why they never fought each other.
Yeah.
For one reason earlier.
You mean Chad
Yeah,
Frost?
that's been brought up a little bit more recently because of Young Rock. You know, they covered that a little bit on there, but
So,
but then Shawn too.
Wait.
Shawn,
because this is the multiverse of what ifs the branches off, right? if Shawn doesn't go out injured, if Triple H never happens, Mankind never wins the belt, WCW never says Mankind's gonna win the title tonight,
that'll put butts in seats.
Don't change the channel. What happens from WCW? Because they don't lose that whole audience to jump over to shift the change in the 83 weeks. A lot of branches here.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan becomes Hogan Prime again.
What about Shawn's personal life? You know, he doesn't take the time away. You know.
Oh, so he's still a douchebag in this timeline.
So yeah,
Well, he was pill popping then. So
yeah, I mean, does he never get off of that? You know, or
right? Does it end tragically because he's a wrestler in the 90s that succumbed to everything else to deal with injuries and not wanting to take time off? And oh man, that's there's a lot of branches from this one.
Mm-hmm.
Could I see Triple H still becoming Triple H if Shawn's never hurt?
Eventually, yes.
Yeah, he had it in him.
He was starting to get there with
eventually.
He had it in him, but I don't think it's the way that we saw it. Like he may not have reached the heights to where like he's the head of Evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it would have been more of, I think, political. He got there because of how much Shawn and Triple H were in Vince's ear. I think he still would have got there, but it just would have been a different evolution.
If Shawn never gets hurt, because Shawn, to me, you can look at Shawn kind of like you look at Kobe, right? You had Kobe Bryant, the number 8, and then you had Kobe Bryant, 24, right? Shawn, you have pre-injury, post-injury. Is Shawn's post-injury run as impactful? Like,
yeah.
If he never goes away, one, is it as long? 2, do you get the babyface love, the guy that says "I love you" to Ric Flair before the super kick? You know what I mean? Like, because to me, Shawn post injury is my favorite version of Shawn, even though he was tremendous before, leading up to the injury. Like, he's one of the greatest. He's one of the greatest of all time. But Shawn's post injury run for me is what I like the most out of Shawn's career.
Mm-hmm. His wrestling mind was unreal. Yeah,
most of his best matches to me came from
that time. Yeah.
Yeah, like you think of some of those matches, like, him and Flair, him and Hogan, him and Angle, like.
I wouldn't want that.
Or it could have been HBK in Austin for round 2.
Yeah, do you get the 3-peat out of Rock in Austin, or do you get a 3-peat of Michaels in Austin?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, he was.
Yeah.
So that might have benefited his career.
Oh, it's very, very, very interesting to see.
I think he definitely would have got a 3-peat of Shawn in Austin for sure.
I mean, there's so many guys that stepped up in that time frame that you can honestly change their whole trajectory Like, does Taker do what Taker does? Or was Taker just always going to evolve like he did?
I think he'd still be on the streak, but those standout matches wouldn't be there.
Because they would have fought again after Rumble.
Many times.
Yeah, they would have definitely fought again.
I don't know, is Shawn in NXT right now? Like, I don't know.
So many personal things.
Yeah, this one's heavier. This one's heavier from the personal side of things. We're definitely talking about the wrestling career wise and what would change, but the biggest impact came to him in his personal life and how he was able to pull that together and go on to mend fences, right wrongs, and succeed in life, not just in the life of a wrestler in the ring. So I don't know, man. That's a good one. Donald's 2 for 2 on the what ifs. If any of us choose a what if game, we're gonna have to step it up because Donald's 2 for 2 with these what ifs. So, all right. Well, again, follow us on social media. Hit us up. What if Shawn Michaels never gets injured? How do things play out for you? And with that being said, it's time, from a positive look on somebody's life, let's get into some losers for the week. Jabroni of the week. In the world of pro wrestling, outside of the world of pro wrestling, what do you got for Jabroni of the week?
Who wants to start it off?
I don't know. I think I got a 1A, 1B.
I have 2.
Okay. I'm gonna go. One, I'm gonna go that Charlotte Rhea stare down was trash, terrible. And then 2 is going to be. Go ahead.
Did you enjoy her and Dom?
I enjoyed Dom a little bit, just a little bit, but it was too long. It was trash. I wanted them to. You could have had Dom towing from the beginning, but no, I just wanted them to air it out. Maybe come to little blows, maybe then be out.
Don't touch.
You got 5 weeks. We don't need touching.
Yeah, you don't need
one.
You can touch every week.
No.
I need my
in the first place, man.
All right, who's your second?
Yeah.
It's the fans calling out predictability after the whole elimination chamber. Like, wrestling's been predictable.
I didn't see this. What was the hate on this?
It's that Roman's win was so predictable. WWE, they think it is predictable, but isn't. We're all in the wrestling know here now. Isn't everything predictable now?
I told you guys
that. Hey, just because it's predictable doesn't mean it can't be good.
Yeah,
and we said that. We said that running through the card last week. I said I am tuning in strictly as a fan. I am not looking at it from I cover pro wrestling on a podcast and get to talk about it each week, chop it up with Yins. No, I'm watching this strictly as a fan. I don't care that the outcome is probably 100% true. Mm-hmm. And I thought they delivered on it. That crowd was so hyped for Sami Zayn. The false finishes, like everything about it, the family interaction, like just
yeah.
How do you hate on that match? I don't get it. So yeah, if you want to call out the IWC fans for being jabronis of the week based off of that, I'm here for you with that. I'll agree there.
We can be on here every week, man.
So going from you every week thing to me on my every wrestling thing, the legends and title pictures, we have to stop. Like, we truly have to stop. Even though they don't win, they shouldn't be in a title picture. Edge fighting Theory, why?
Come on, man. You can't hate on that.
Why?
You don't think that helped elevate Theory in the ring?
Did heat with Theory in the ring?
I feel like
I'm elevate him in the ring. I think, to me, that's, can Theory get? That's a test for Theory. Can Theory go against someone in the ring. I think that's not necessarily for TV. It's more for backstage.
It didn't have it backstage. Don't have it on my TV. I don't need that. Like I always say, they don't need to be on TV. And now this title pictures.
You're in Canada. Edge is probably this is his last trip around the sun. Mm-hmm. How many more chances are you going to have to wrestle in Canada? You have a heel United States champion in theory. Like I loved it. Like, and your group in theory to take on Cena at Mania. So there's another legend coming back.
Exactly.
On that too.
You have Edge, Cena, you have Lita, and you have Jeff Jarrett.
There you go. You just named all my stuff that I had down here. There's no reason that Lita need to be teaming up with Becky for a title shot. This is just Lita grasping on the coattails of Becky.
No.
Rumor is something changed there on Monday.
You're missing. You're staring at the forest and getting lost in the trees. Lita and Becky is going to lead to Bayley and Trish at Mania.
That doesn't make sense for me.
No, that doesn't satisfy me at all. There we go. There we go. So you just told me another legend is coming in.
But it's Bayley and Trish versus Lita and Becky. You're getting it's LA's WrestleMania. You're going to have those types of matches. You had Stone Cold last year in Texas. Like you're going to get those types of matches on Mania.
And it did a total disservice for me. That young talent should be main event in WrestleMania. That Stone Cold NKO thing was terrible. It was not good. It was not good.
Whenever I heard Monday night that Trish was supposed to be on too, and they pulled her off the show, I was just like, okay. I was like, maybe that would have made a little bit more sense that if Trish and Lita would be the ones being a tag team, since they're supposed to be they're best friends in real life, and they tour around the country for stuff. I was like, that would make more sense than having Lita and Becky together, just to pair two people together for no reason.
I thought it was just guaranteed.
You pull Trish because it's in Canada. If she's going to be a heel with Bayley, you're not going to run her out there in Canada, in her home country, where she's not going to get booed.
But what do you need to run Trish as a heel for? Like,
because they're going against Becky and Lita, who are faces.
So we're just going to make Trish a heel for no reason now?
So we're going to do just special fan service for Canada.
No reason.
That's all we're going to do.
You still have the rivalry of Trish and Lita.
That Trish was never the heel for. Lita was the heel. So we're just going to turn Trish heel.
Times change.
So we're just bringing it for no reason again.
So we're just bringing stuff from 2005 up to 2023. Watch the WWE Network if you want to watch that stuff.
Did you ever think that the excitement for Becky and Bayley to be in the ring with two of the women who paved the way for them to be in the spot that they're in right now, that trumps what you're griping about legends coming back for?
Who the hell cares?
It's not for a long run. It's for a WrestleMania moment. WWE creates moments, not matches. It's a
we're supposed to create the future. We don't break the glass and go back to the past.
Are not the young talent. They're not. It's not Lita and Trish burying Dakota and Io. They're not burying that. They're not burying.
They're still on the active roster. They're still on the active roster. They're active.
One-off WrestleMania moment match. If Bayley's not in the title picture and Becky's not in the title picture, you have to have something to have them two go on WrestleMania for, because they're two of your biggest names in the company. Why not do something that's a cool fantasy book moment? We got Rhea and Beth.
How about if you develop somebody?
The whole thing of
how about if you develop somebody into a star to take on them, and not have the John Cena glass breaking, the Goldberg glass breaking to come back? Build somebody up.
Look at if you don't have any storylines for the people, you don't just put them on a match on WrestleMania.
Build somebody up.
They're trying to with Theory, but you shit all over it because he
was fighting Edge.
Okay, you need to go over somebody to build you up.
It's time for a drink.
Is Theory beating Damian Priest really going to elevate Theory? If Theory beats Kofi Kingston, is that really going to do the same impact?
Man, don't break up Kofi Dance. Please.
But how it played out was stupid. The whole Finn thing.
It was shenanigans anyway.
Yeah.
So you're going to give Finn and Edge at WrestleMania again.
Look, I didn't like the
buddy.
ding dong. I didn't like the ding dong hello segment on Monday night. I didn't like it. Do I necessarily want to see Becky and Lita versus Bayley and Trish? No, but at the same time, like for a WrestleMania moment that's a one-off for two of your top women who are not in the title picture to be on the card, okay.
How about just give us a stare down mid ring and just cut it? Because I don't want to see Lita do another whatever splash. Yeah.
Thank you, Pro.
Chris, who's your jabroni?
Mine's off of Jason. Dom was the jabroni of the week for me. He on last night on SmackDown, that was the worst I've seen from Dom in a bit since they started doing the backstage segments with him. And
You're crazy.
Stick with pre-film stuff. To me, that showed how green Dom still is. That it was just horrible. To me, it was unwatchable. It was a horrible segment.
The cringiness of him getting over because he went to prison and talking about like that's what makes the character work. That's supposed to be cringy.
It wasn't cringy. It was, to me, it wasn't good. Like he was tripping all over his words and everything, and like there was a couple times that I think he forgot what he was trying to say because then he just kind of like smiled and then realized it and then started talking again. I was just like, it didn't work at all for me. Nothing in that segment worked for me at all.
Hey, it's your jabroni of the week. I'm just here all the time. So, my jabroni of the week is for New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can't have the biggest pay-per-view of the year and your stream not work. They were down for 30 minutes. They were down for 30 minutes. You can't have that happen. Not whenever you're trying to get into the U.S. market and show what you have to offer as an alternative to WWE and AEW.
Was it them or was it Fight?
I don't know who it was. It doesn't matter. I'm putting the blame on them because they're the ones that are
their program.
It's their program. You sold out off of one match. We brought up last week, hey, well, this pay-per-view drawing fans because it's Elimination Chamber and everything else. There was enough of a buy-in to cause the stream not to work. You got to account for these things.
That was the issue? There was too many people logging into the server? Or was it just technical?
They haven't addressed it. They've ducked it this entire week, which is added on to them being the jabronis of the week for me. There's been no finger pointing, no accountability, no nothing. Your stream was out for 30 minutes on your biggest U.S. pay-per-view.
That'll be them being like, see, we don't have this issue on New Japan World, so we're just going to, you got to buy New Japan World, not buy the pay-per-view.
So that's my jabroni of the week in pro wrestling. Can't have it happen.
No.
Not whenever you're set up to expose yourself. Pause. To a U.S. marketplace that is tuning in strictly because you have one of the biggest females in the world on your show. The matches were great. The show was great to watch. It's just you can't have that happen. Can't have it happen. My second jabroni of the week, and this is outside of the world of pro wrestling.
Are you surprised, Ty?
Yeah.
Go watch Aquaman 1. It wasn't good either.
Yeah. My second jabroni of the week is the NBA All-Star Game. Can we just, if we're not going to take these things seriously anymore, guys aren't even showing up until day of on Sunday for All-Star Weekend. It's a freaking glorified layup line. Nobody plays defense. It's just cut it out. Cut it out. Stop it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to watch it. I turned it off like 20 minutes in. It's pointless.
I saw the one clip where the Celtics guys had a one-on-one while the other 8 was just like by the bench just watching them. It was like
clear out. That's what it's just called clear out. Give me time for a minute. Let me cook.
Hey, here's a bright idea. Why don't you make it like US versus the world, and you play for
decades
for a charity, right? Let's get something that's going to get these guys that are going to make them want to play. Now people just want to use the All-Star break as a vacation. They want to go to Turks and Caicos. They want to go do this. They want to go do that. They're not invested in it. It doesn't matter.
We talk about this with all the All-Star breaks. None of them are like bringing in decent numbers either. You know, it's like, and they're not doing anything. Like, why keep having?
At least the NFL tried something different with the Pro Bowl, even though it may not have been good with the skills competition, the dodgeball, the flag football, the greatest catch. At least it was something different. You have the 3-point shootout and the dunk contest, but no. You didn't let him win. He took that win.
He took it.
Did. Yes, he did. He took it.
And if he's not in that dunk contest, that's even terrible.
So when is an NBA All-Star? When does that rule kick in where you have to be competitive? Is it the fourth?
It's the fourth quarter. Once they get to the final, you need to score 22 points versus 10 points. Like you do that. I mean,
give me the layup.
Jason Tatum scored 53 or 54 points to set an All-Star record, and it was like 160 to 149. I don't even know, but it was 3 hours of just guys outside doing layups.
It was so blown out that they just figured why not compete. So move that little stipulation back even or closer to the beginning, like halftime.
They said LeBron didn't play no defense until he went up and messed his hand up on a block.
Yeah, so that's my Jabroni of the week. All right, anything else before we wrap up this week's show? Nope, good. All right, final thoughts. So final thoughts.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning to episode 124 of the Dumb Marks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please leave us a review over on Spotify or wherever you listen to us. Make sure you tune in for One Gotta Go every Tuesday and Drink of the Week every Thursday on all our social media channels. And keep in touch in the comments, social media, or email us at dumbmarkspod@gmail.com. If you're watching this right now, you see on the social media accounts on the screen. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment on our accounts at dumbmarkspod. For all the links and more, visit dumbmarkspod.com. And of course, we got to plug the merch, so head over to prowrestlingtees.com/dumbmarkspod to purchase our merch. And when you do, we'll give you a shout out live on air. Gentlemen,
that was the best end of an episode ad read you've ever done.
It was perfect.
Look, this guy gets a banner hung up behind him, and he's coming in on top of his game. Wow, I'm proud of you right now. I'm proud of you right now, Chris. That's good. That's good. Nobody else got any final thoughts?
Nope.
Good.
All right. So with that being said, coming up here at the end of Black History Month, a little positivity quote of the week for you to come from Kenny. What's up? Quote of the week from Muhammad Ali here. Hating people because of their color is wrong, and it doesn't matter which color does the hating. It's just plain wrong. With that being said, thanks for tuning in this week. I'm a Mark, you're a Mark, Telemark, and until next time, y'all can catch us around the way.